I want to talk to you about something that honestly still surprises me, and that's how often NDIS participants and their families get caught out, not because they're careless, but because they trust the system to work the way that it should. I see this all the time. People come to me confused and sometimes even embarrassed, saying that they don't understand how their funding has gone already. So I want to walk you through some really simple red flags to watch out for, things that can save you a lot of stress, and if you catch them early. If you stick with me, you'll walk away knowing what actually causes most NDIS problems, what to slow down on, and what to put in place so you're not consistently second-guessing yourself. None of this that I'm going to be talking about today is complicated, but I personally believe it is very important. Most people assume that NDIS issues happen because something is done or somebody's done something really illegal or wrong. And in my experience, that is not usually the case. And yes, it does happen. It happens all the time where you get somebody dodgy and doing a very, very bad thing. What happens is, what I personally believe is, this happens usually a lot quieter. Somebody shares the NDIS number early because it feels harmless. Somebody signs some paperwork because it sounds standard, and somebody assumes that invoices are right because they look professional. And then months later, their plan is running low and nobody is actually really quite sure why. That's why I always say this system doesn't break down loudly, it breaks slowly. Really, really important that these things in NDIS doesn't happen overnight. So let's start with some red flags. These aren't, about panicking. They're about noticing patterns. And red flag number one is being billed for things that you didn't actually receive. So if you ever see services on an invoice that actually didn't happen, or even small ones, that needs to be questioned straight away. For example, you provided a short notice cancellation well and truly outside of the service agreement time, and suddenly you see that on your invoice. That you need to ask questions about. Or for example, is that the support worker cancels on you, but they're still going to invoice. Or for example, this happens all the time as well. Just say they're going to be there for a 2-hour shift. The support worker arrives 30 minutes late, but they still bill for the 2 hours. They can't technically do that. Sometimes it's a mistake. Business owners do make mistakes, and we're all human. But sometimes it isn't a mistake either. Either way, ignoring it tells the system that you're okay with it. Red flag number two. If an invoice just says something like support services with no dates, no breakdowns, no other information, that's not okay, in my opinion. You should be able to look at your invoice clearly and understand what you're paying for. Red flag number three is pressure or urgency. This one is extremely important. If somebody in the NDIS space is rushing you, for example, you need to sign this document today. You're at a meet and greet and all of a sudden they drop a service agreement in front of you and they're saying, you need to sign this today. Well, you don't have to. Or they might be saying, we've got limited spots. That's just how it's done. Just watch out for those little catch phrases. Slow down. Really slow right down. Good providers, they don't need to pressure people. For example, I might give you a service agreement, and if you need time to read it, 100%, that's cool with me. And if you have any questions, that's okay too. I encourage questions when it comes to paperwork. Red flag number four is being pushed into supports that you didn't ask for. You are allowed to say no. Now, if supports don't make sense for you or your family, you don't have to accept them because somebody suggests them. That's really, really important. If somebody can't explain their rates and cancellations or how they bill, that is a problem as well. And you need to understand where your funding is going. Most important. Another massive red flag is cashback, gift cards or deals. I've seen, people trying to offer Woolworths gift cards. I've seen them offer PlayStations. I've offered them saying, hey, like you come with us and we'll actually pay for your groceries, all this sorts of stuff. This one catches a lot of people out. And a provider offers gift cards, rewards, or anything that feels like a perk for using the services, walk away. Do not engage with them. It puts you at risk, not them. Very, very important. Now, here is the thing. Spotting red flags really does help, but that's not the strongest protection. The stronger protection is having a few basic safeguards in place from the very, very start. These are things that I wish every single family knew from their very first plan. Don't share your NDIS number until you have chosen the provider. Very important. For example, you ring up a provider and you just want to ask if they have got availability for a support worker to come and visit you on a Thursday afternoon from 3 p.m. And the very, very first question that you get, Can I have your NDIS number? They don't need that information just to make an inquiry. That's very important. You don't have to give them that information. And you don't need to hand it out just because somebody asks. That number could potentially give access to your funding. Always have a service agreement in writing. If it is not written down, it's very, very hard to fix later and disputes can happen. A service agreement should clearly spell out the rates, hours, and expectations. And of course, never ever sign blank or incomplete forms. You might see this come up. A provider will give you a piece of paper and say, hey, while I'm here, can you just quickly sign this document for me and I'll complete it back at the office. Don't do that. That's very bad because you never know what they'll put on that document and suddenly they can present, well, we've got a signed document. Never ever sign blank or incomplete forms. If it's not filled out properly, don't sign it. Most important. And the big thing is check your invoices regularly. Not to be difficult, but to be informed. Check for dates, hours, rates. A quick check goes a long way. Have a look monthly, fortnightly. Most plan managers have a portal that you can log into and you'll be able to check your invoices. Of course, make sure you have good relationships with your plan managers, support coordinators, and make sure if you're not in a position to understand your plan or understand where your funding is, make sure you have a good nominee in place that is going to work with you and help you explain your funding. And of course, keep an eye on your plan budget. You don't need to obsess over it, just check into it. This is really important now that everybody is now transitioning onto funding periods. If funding seems to be dropping faster than expected, ask some questions early and slow the whole process down. You're allowed to take time. Rushing benefits providers, clarity benefits you. If any of this, what I'm saying in this video seems a bit familiar, you're not alone because a lot of people I talk to feels the exact way. And of course, make sure you follow me for more, subscribe to this channel for a lot more NDIS information because there's going to be some more information coming along. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.